Armando turning the page to the offense here. So he's going with Frank Ponce, of course, coming in from App State as quarterback coach. A lot of people pushed for him as offensive coordinator, meaning I'm not talking about people that are making decisions. I'm talking about fans. And Armando is making the same comment that he would have been happy with him as OC. But he is the quarterback coach. And then, of course, Josh Gattis comes in as offensive coordinator. The only thing I'm going to say real quickly before you take over this comment is that if you look at App State's attack, they have been extremely run oriented during a really strong, successful run. So they've had Eli Drinkwitz as head coach and Scott Satterfield, and they've been the cradle of ascending coaches to the Power Five, and they just keep humming and winning or coming close to conference championships. They pretty much play in the conference championship game every year. I'm doing a breakdown of 1 through 130 program rankings, and I got the record for the last. I'm working through all sorts of metrics, and shoot, that team is like 55-14 the last 7 seasons. So they're getting it done in the Sun Belt, but they've been run heavy. Chase Bryce didn't have a great season as a quarterback the last 2 years for them, but Ponce has been the quarterback coach, and he comes in to work with Josh Gattis.
Absolutely. Yeah, the reason why Coach Frank Ponce is brought up, I mean, he has great South Florida ties. Been around South Florida from his days at Coral Gables Senior High School, which is where the University of Miami is located. It's like 2 blocks away, the high school. He was their head coach, quarterbacks coach for a while there. He also made his bones at the illustrious Miami Northwestern Senior High School. He's also done some at Miami Central. He's worked at FIU under Coach Cristobal. Um, and the Louisville head coach, who was the App State old head coach. What's his name?
Scott Satterfield.
He was also he was the offensive coordinator on Coach Cristobal's staff at FIU. The defensive coordinator was also Todd Orlando. So Coach Cristobal has a nice way of identifying some talent before they get their opportunity. But that's where they come from, that stretch run, um, zone scheme that really gave the Miami Hurricanes a big problem this past season. Almost went to us losing to them. We needed a game sealing field goal from a freshman to beat App State. So that should just let you know where we were and where we are until proven otherwise, where we are as a program. But anyhow, I think what he brings to the table is, yes, a lot of people swear we're going to be this dive, run the ball kind of team. And you think that because the offensive coordinator that we're going to talk about here soon, he comes from a place where that was happening at the University of Michigan. You also think Coach Cristobal is a former offensive lineman. And if you watched Oregon, they were super run heavy. And you also think Frank Ponce and what he did at App State, their bread and butter was the RPO game, run based, but RPO game out of the stretch run. Now, I don't necessarily think this is the worst thing, but I know deep down from what Coach Cristobal has explained, he wanted to be multiple on both sides of the ball. He just wanted to be able to do. And at the end of the day, Mark, you need to be able to do what you need to do when you need to do it. What that means is if it's 3rd and 14, we need to be able to pass the ball and get 15 yards. If it's 3rd and 1, we need to be able to run the ball and get the 1 or 2 yards to convert and move the chains. If it's 4th and inches or 4th and goal and the game's on the line, we need to be able to move people off the ball and get into the end zone. But let's take a little pivot step over to Coach Josh Gattis. Mark, do you know where he went from before he got the job at Michigan?
Alabama, right?
He was a part of the spread movement to the University of Alabama in the Air Tua and Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy and Devonta Smith and I'm missing one more.
Jameson Williams and Jalen Waddle.
Jameson Williams just got there.
Jalen Waddle.
Waddle. There we go. And Waddle. He was a part of the reason why they got these guys, because they convinced these recruits we're going to go spread. We're going to air this thing out. And Coach Gattis and Coach Mike Locksley, who's the head coach over at Maryland, were working together to build said offense that went on to go get destroyed in the championship game against Clemson. But that's neither here nor there. What that means is he's a spread-based coach. That's his origin. Okay, you talk about a guy who was a former defensive back at Wake Forest. And then he moved to the offensive side of the ball, and he's a spread by nature kind of coach. All right, you're not talking about somebody who's from Wisconsin, 1986 Wisconsin, and he's just going to dive, dive, dive. No, 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 no. Of course, those who are not willing to do deep dive research will just look at it and say, yeah, Miami's going to be Oregon East, and it's going to run the ball down and build a great old line and go 10-2 and maybe win an Orange Bowl here or there. But that is not what Coach Cristobal wanted to do. He understands that that way of doing things is not going to win championships. Yeah, you might win Orange Bowls. You might win a couple ACCs if you're coming out and you're just trying to blow people off the ball. But at the University of Miami, probably not. We need to be a spread-based team that can run the ball just like we can pass the ball. You look at Coach Josh Gaddis, he had 1,000-yard thrower, and they ran for 3,000 yards at Michigan. So they're split down the middle as a balanced team. And of course, he's coaching for an old school coach, and Coach John Harbaugh, or Jim, whatever his name is.
I want John. Yeah.
John, yeah.
Are you talking about?
I'm talking about Michigan.
Going. It's Jim in Michigan, John at Baltimore. Go ahead.
Okay, so Jim is of course you watch Michigan, but you had to lean into your strengths. Michigan finished number 2 for the Joe Moore Award. If they did not win it, did they not win the award?
I think they won it. I thought they won it. I'm not positive.
You know what I'm saying? So if I got the best offensive line, why would I try to force spread if I don't have the necessary pieces? I have an above average quarterback. My wide receivers aren't all of that. Why force myself into something when I have really nice running backs and I got the best offensive line in college football? Why go against that? So he ran the ball and he leaned into his strengths. That makes sense. He comes to now the University of Miami where the strength is quarterback. The strength is scat backs. The strength is wide receiver core to a certain extent. Why not lean into that? And I expect us to see some semblance of what he did at Michigan mixed with what he does at Alabama and a little sprinkle of Miami in there. Okay, it's just that simple. Now,